I want the dog to swim in the ground.
Yeah.
And I want the people to swim in the air.
Yeah. Hello, good morning.
Oh, good morning, BBs. It's too early.
It sure is.
Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan, and I'm very colorful today.
You are very colorful.
I caught myself
today.
on camera, and wow.
You look like a hot Chucky doll.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Very much.
You're welcome.
I realize the blue pants are kind of giving that with it.
Yeah.
I've worn the rainbow shirt with overalls, and that really seals the deal.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. I felt like these kind of looked like vault suit pants.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like they were giving a little bit of vault suit.
Oh, you mean for our Fallout D&D that we're doing live tonight?
I do mean that. We are going to be playing D&D tonight in the setting of Fallout at 6 p.m. Pacific. Or if you're watching this on YouTube later and it's already past that, the day this released, it's probably already up on YouTube.
Probably already up on YouTube.
I'm GMing tonight.
That's right.
I'm nervous.
Why?
I'm always nervous to GM.
That's cute.
It scares me. I like doing it, but
That's adorable.
it does frighten me a little bit. I don't GM on the internet very often.
Yeah.
It's kind of a rarity.
Yeah. No GM and no feet.
Yeah. Those are my two rules, and I'm breaking both tonight.
Woo!
Woo!
It's an all foot game.
Yeah, exactly. And there is not the number of toes that you would hope.
No,
Not
there
in
never
Fallout.
are in the wastelands.
Not in the wastelands. It's going to be very fun. I hope you'll come watch. Anthony's playing.
I'm playing. We've got Luis Carrazzo playing.
We do. We have Persephone Valentine.
Oh my gosh, we got Sarah Chaffee playing.
Oh my God.
Wow.
What a crew. Have I ever GM'd for you?
No.
I don't think I have.
No.
Whoa.
Because I very much remember the first time you GM'd for a group.
Yeah.
You were very, very nervous. And I remember us talking about it, but I was not part of that group.
Yeah.
And like you said, you don't do it very often.
Yeah. When we became friends back in the wild world of the end of 2019, early 2020.
Yes.
You were supposed to be one of the first people I ever GM'd for because we planned a 10 candles night. It was going to be the first thing I ever GM'd ever.
That's right.
On the day the pandemic, the quarantine hit.
That's right. But listen, that was in the before times. We all went into our personal vaults and came out.
Yeah.
And we hope that you'll watch us this evening. But
it's Reclamation Day, baby.
But before this evening, I mean, listen, let's talk about right now, because we got a lot of news right now. I mean, we've got to talk about net neutrality. We've got to talk about TikTok. We've got to talk about, we got a lot of Fallout. That's not related to us.
Yeah.
But there's just a lot.
It's actual Fallout news.
It's a very Fallout time.
Yeah, it is. We're all living in a Fallout time.
That's right.
I want to talk about video game marketing. I want to talk about the way that people are marketing video games these days.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll get to all of that.
Yeah, but first we want to say hello to Alex, don't we?
Good morning, Alex.
Good morning, Alex.
Hello.
Oh,
Hello,
man, what
morning.
a mess I've left behind you.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about it. These are teasers that you're seeing here.
Yeah, I think the printer was actually
so
me. That might be my fault.
No, I was printing more things, and you can see a little preview of one there,
just a
actually.
sneak peek.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for tonight. I'm also going to be tech directing. I get to hang out with a bunch of friends. You have to come watch it because I just finished the show, and I can't stop thinking about it.
We're all so excited. I mean, while we're talking about tonight, do you want to show them a little preview of the set? We set it up to show you a little preview.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, ready? You get one little preview, okay? We're going to show it to you, and it's going to go away. In 3, 2, 1. Come back. That's enough. That's all you get.
Be cool,
Okay?
everyone. Be cool.
Everyone be cool. So that's what you have to look forward to tonight. That is one of the many things you have to look forward to tonight. Anthony has built some other things for us. It's going to be great, and we hope we'll see you there, but I think we got to...
We're going full on ILM tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are.
We're going full digital.
We are.
We're like the Mandalorian.
They don't even know yet.
They don't even know.
What does that even mean?
But they will know.
You will know tonight what going full ILM means.
I'll tell you what. I
up?
went yesterday to Universal Studios, and it got me very inspired to do a big budget thing because, god damn, I love the Waterworld stunt show at Universal Studios.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah. I also love Waterworld.
Yeah, Waterworld's good.
It's one of those things where you look around, and if you were to look at the layout of Universal Studios in Los Angeles, you would be like, why, like of all the IP, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why on earth is Waterworld here? And then you watch Waterworld and you're like, that's why Waterworld is here.
They do like a little intro. Right now they're doing a Fall Guy themed pre-show to Waterworld.
So they're
which is not
a few years behind.
Well, no, not Fall Guys, the Ryan Gosling movie Fall Guy.
I was picturing them in little bean suits.
No, wouldn't that be amazing? I went with a bunch of my friends who are game developers, and they all said the same thing. They're like, "Why are they doing a Fall Guys?"
I was like
no,
a little late for that, but like I'm in.
I was like, no,
fun.
It's a movie based on a TV show.
Oh,
based on a stuntman.
Okay, I didn't know there was a TV show.
Yeah, it was an early 80s TV show. It was like one of my dad's favorite shows. Yeah. So they had like a little Fall Guy thing, but in between the Fall Guy thing and the Waterworld show, the woman who was doing the whole like, hey everybody, thanks for coming out, thanks for watching, was like, yeah, this is based on Waterworld. Has anybody seen Waterworld? Who here has seen Waterworld? And like, I was like, woo!
That's
and
it.
like, 10 more people.
It all looked exactly like you.
She was like, we have been doing this show for almost 30 years, and every year fewer and fewer people raise their hands.
I want you to know, I have seen the Waterworld show at Universal Studios at least 30 times, okay?
Mm-hmm.
At least 30 times in my life. I have never seen the movie.
The movie got a bad rap. One of the reasons that I've seen the movie is because it was one of those movies that was traditionally called the worst movie ever made.
Oh, wow.
And the reason was it was like Kevin Costner directed and starred in it, and it was the most expensive movie ever made at the time.
Okay,
and this was
you're expecting
before
a lot.
Yeah, and this was before the time of like the weekly release of a summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This was your movie for the month.
Yeah, if you like back in the early 90s, it's like if you got a Jurassic Park and a Terminator in the same summer, it was like, whoa, what a summer.
Okay.
And now it's like every week is like a $300 million movie.
Right.
They weren't doing that back then. And when Kevin Costner made the most expensive movie ever made, and it's just a big dumb action movie.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it. But at the time, everybody was like, this is bad and wrong.
Oh, okay.
It's totally fine.
All right.
I also had the Waterworld game for my Nintendo Virtual Boy.
I didn't know there was a Waterworld game.
One of the worst games ever made.
Whoa, big claim.
Yeah, well, it's not like the movie where people call it the worst.
But
it's not. No, it's probably the worst game.
Was
for
it
the
only on the Virtual Boy?
It's only it's a Virtual Boy exclusive, baby.
Because I was like, I wish we could play it.
I
We
mean,
don't have a Virtual Boy.
No.
You're not emulating a Virtual Boy.
I mean, you can.
It would be tough. It would be annoying to do.
You sure? I mean, listen, it depends. You can listen. I mean, I don't want to get into the nuts and bolts of it, but there are ways. There are ways. There are ways, and there are many different devices you could do it on. Listen, the point is, the Waterworld stunt show is absolutely spectacular. If you are by any Universal Studios,
the two that were hanging on for so long were Waterworld and the Animal Planet live show that became like the Animal Actors show because Animal Planet didn't exist anymore. I think that's finally gone.
Yeah, that's gone.
Animal Actors is finally gone. But that was another one that held on for like my whole life.
When I go to Universal Studios, it's literally just I go see a Mario, I go see a Waterworld.
Yeah.
I go home.
That's it.
Although that's all I really need to do.
Yeah.
If I do another thing, great. But I have the California resident pass.
Yeah.
So I pay like $6 a month to go to Universal Studios.
I like to hit Jurassic Park. I don't like to miss Jurassic Park.
Sure.
I like to do that and The Mummy.
The Mummy's good.
The Mummy's great.
The Mummy's good.
How many times have we talked about this theme park on this damn show?
I got this shirt there yesterday.
Yeah, why don't you move your mic and really show off this shirt? So it's a Hello Kitty Fast and Furious shirt.
That's right. They have an official Hello Kitty store now at Universal Studios. And they just have like a bunch of Hello Kitty Sanrio characters in movie posters.
I love that they were like, yeah, you could put Hello Kitty on anything. He was sending me pictures that were like the collabs with Chucky.
Yeah.
Great.
They have a whole Chucky collection right now. And I sent you. I also sent you. They've gone hard on Boo merchandise.
Yeah.
At
and
Nintendo
I love
World.
Boo. And there wasn't shit when we went.
There was like very little Boo merchandise.
Oh, I love Boo.
We love Boo, who of course, legal name Teresa.
Yeah.
And yesterday I showed you they have a Boo-ray.
It's very cute.
It's a reversible Boo-ray.
So as in a beret, a hat that has Boo on it, but it's little. It has like Boo's little arms that are shaped like this on the sides.
And one side, it's reversible. And one side, Boo's mad at you. And then on the other side, Boo is hiding.
Little bashful boo.
But also it could be a Baresa.
For Teresa, of course.
That's right.
Yeah. Good job.
Boo's official name is Teresa, if you don't know.
That's Boo's Japanese name.
Yeah, which is the official name.
Yes.
That's the real name.
Okay. All right, sure. Yeah.
Boo is named Teresa after, I think it's Takashi Tezuka's wife,
Yeah.
who was known as the sweetest woman in the world unless he tried to work late too often. Then she'd call the office screaming, and they based Boo on her.
I love it.
Anyway.
A legend, a legacy. Let's talk about, let's get into the big stuff.
Sure.
Let's get into the big internet stuff.
Yeah, the big, like this big question in chat right now, is Mario's official name Chris Pratt? Yes.
Legally, unfortunately. Let's talk about the current state of the internet, because two very big things are happening. Folks, you want the good news or the bad news first? I'm going to let the live chat decide this.
Yeah.
You tell me if you want the good news and then the bad news, or the bad news and then the good news. We're going to decide if we go up and then down, or down and then up. Everybody said bad news first.
Bad news first.
Okay.
The TikTok bill went through.
Now, let's talk about what this means, because obviously we're not the first people to tell you this.
No.
This isn't actually news to you that the TikTok bill has gone through and has been signed. So Biden has been saying all along that if it got to his desk, he would sign it. And for some reason, a politician decided this is the time.
Napping little dork.
A politician decided that this is the time they gotta follow through on a promise. And it has been signed. Now, that does not mean that TikTok goes away today.
No, they, I believe the law says, or the bill says that ByteDance has 90 days or something to divest itself.
It was initially 180. Has it gone down to 90?
No, it might be 180. Thank you. But they have a certain amount of time to divest themselves of their U.S. Holdings, the U.S. version of TikTok. We've been talking about this. But that's not necessarily what's going to happen.
No. So as we all know, especially as people, for fellow American viewers, you know that companies can fight things in the court pretty much forever.
Yeah.
So what is most likely to happen next is not TikTok selling, specifically because ByteDance has said that they would rather shut down U.S. operations than sell. But what we are seeing is likely is that they just continue to fight this. They're not letting it go. They're not saying, okay, well then screw you. We're not going to operate. They're going to continue fighting this legal battle. And while they are doing so, they can continue to postpone this actual banning for a long time.
God, I understand that the government is a parallel circuit and not a serial circuit, right? Like the government can't. The government's not just doing one thing at a time.
Sure.
They're doing multiple things. But I'll tell you what,
rely on that.
It sure do seem like this went through so quick and they made such a big deal of it, and it was all they were focusing on.
Isn't that interesting?
So weird and
that
funny?
Suddenly they just had the time.
They just had all the time in the world.
Weird that they had the time and the decisiveness to pull this off. Now, what reason could that possibly be? Could it be because they hate you and they hate your little TikTok dances and they hate those little bites of joy that you get before you get out of bed to go to work and kill yourself at your job all day?
What are you gonna watch? What are you gonna watch? A frog in a hat?
Or could it be because TikTok has continually become a massive tool of advocacy for the younger generation to spread information about people who are continually suppressed in our popular media?
Sure.
Could it be because it has been an active tool in rallying a massive portion of American citizens against Israel?
Yeah, sure. Listen, this is all part of it, along with the fact that, once again, this is a multi-billion-dollar media outlet that America doesn't own and control, and they don't make any of the money off of it, and they don't like that. So that's also part of it. There are a lot of reasons. None of them have to do with the reasons that they're saying.
Correct.
So what's going to happen now? Like ByteDance has said, we would rather, like you mentioned, ByteDance has said we would rather shut down U.S. operations than sell. And there are countries already that have TikTok bans.
Yes.
There are countries that already do not allow TikTok, and TikTok simply in those countries does not operate. And they said we're very happy to make the United States one of those countries. That's totally fine. That sucks. if it comes to that. But like, I don't think it will. Like you're saying, these massive corporations, they've got enough money to just be in court forever.
Yeah.
And they will.
Yeah.
I don't think TikTok is going away at all. I think this is another one of those things where the government tries to show that they can do something and that they have control over things.
Yeah.
And then like in a year, if it fizzles, they don't care because they already got the headlines in the press from it.
Yeah, exactly. Right now, we see that they have actually up to a year to sell.
Okay.
So that is the amount of time that they have to sell under the current thing, should nothing change in these continued legal battles that are going to be ongoing for that entire time.
Yeah. And as far as that ban, like the easiest way to delay this ban would simply be for ByteDance to say, we have not found a proper buyer for this. Like that's the easiest. Because listen, the government doesn't listen to a lot of things, but the government respects a business.
Yeah, they do.
The government loves that a corporation is a human. And so if ByteDance simply says, we haven't found the right buyer, we haven't gotten the right offer, the government will extend that for them.
So they have 270 days currently as their deadline, but a lawsuit could easily tie that up into much longer. So right now, nothing changes for you for at least, at the very minimum, 270 days. Now, in previous times,
get all your frog and hat videos in now.
So in previous times,
download all the ones you can. Some of them will let you download them. The frogs and the hats.
Buddy.
Yeah, but like, listen, it's important.
I know. And now I'm going to finish what I was saying.
Okay.
In previous occasions, TikTok was momentarily banned in Montana before their governor stepped in and actually shut that down. It had gone through and passed and for a moment was banned. And in that occasion, the TikTok app was able to stay on people's phones if you had already had it downloaded, but it was removed from the app store.
Sure.
So should you get a new phone in that scenario, you would probably lose access to it. It would not allow you to re-download it. So those are kind of where we're at right now. I really don't believe that this ban is ever going to fully go through.
No.
I really don't. Now, I have seen exactly other countries like India, for instance, as TikTok banned entirely. But for America specifically, I just don't see it happening. I just don't see America doing something that decisive and final for this.
Yeah, and especially because
I think they just find a way to profit off it.
If they try to do it, the more they try to do this, the more people are going to be asking questions about why this was not done in other cases.
Yep.
Or when is this allowed and not allowed? Like this is already like, if this continues, it's a slippery slope. And there are some people, there are the 4D chess people who think that a lot of the people on the liberal side of the government, including Biden, are signing this into law so it can be fought in the courts because they want to enact some sort of laws that say this sort of thing to ban a media company can't be done. But but that's not true.
No, I don't think so.
The reason that's not the thing is because the way the courts are right now, they will ban TikTok and they will put that into law. They will codify that. And so, no, trying to enumerate this legally is just not.
Yeah.
It's not something they're going for. This is just a big, dumb press stunt by the entire government.
I want to read some stuff from chat. So two very interesting different takes. Devin Danger said, the youth will finally stage a revolt if their TikTok dances are taken from them, which is like obviously a funny and lighthearted way to refer to it. Followed by Mr. Ducksaw saying, the youth won't do anything. They'll get bored and find something else. That is so untrue. Gen Z is the most politically informed and active generation there has literally ever been at their age demographic. Each generation, essentially for the last few, has become more and more politically involved and informed. But TikTok is the most politically active and prepared to be a voting member of society that we have ever had. And that's not an opinion. That is a fact.
Sure. On the flip side of that, I do see, as far as the get bored and find something else, I think that's a cynical way to say that we have lost platforms before. Platforms have been corrupted before and we have moved to new platforms. And so that is also a possibility. The idea of the moving from Vine to TikTok in and of itself, or the moving away from Twitter as people were doing it over the last few years to sharing things on TikTok and on Instagram.
People have moved away from platforms, but that's different than them being banned while people still carry an active interest in it.
Right.
Those
no. And that's why I'm saying This is the cynical, like when he says things
Okay,
are like with them, when when they say, oh, kids will get bored and they'll move to something else. What I'm saying is all of this is the most cynical way to say, like, you can move the active people, you can move the activists, you can move people to a new platform. It has been done before. And honestly, if we go into even a partial ban of this thing, that will be what happens. People will find a new platform to discuss it on. But to say that they're gonna stop just because they're bored and they're not going to try to do anything about it, that's the cynical part of it.
Well, that's why I say the stuff about, statistically Gen Z is Gen Z does care, and they do care about this app for more than their TikTok dances, which again, I know is just like the silly way to put this. But like people are incredibly concerned because this is a very active tool of like media that they need and use to consume to get information that is not passed through our government, right?
Yeah. One of the big things that's happening right now is that is because of TikTok is the number of people that did not know that, like, people thought I'm the only person I know who wants Israel to stop, who wants Israel to cease fire on Palestine.
Yeah.
A few years back, particularly with the way that Facebook like messes with their algorithms and stuff these days, that sort of like groundswell would not have happened.
Yes.
People would not have known how popular the idea of telling Israel to stop fucking with Palestine is.
Yes.
And that is massively because of TikTok.
It has. And now there's, like we said, there's a lot of reasons for this, but exactly that. So Bees and Cola said, like, I just don't understand now why alienate the youth during an election year? That is because of a few things. One, they do still believe that they can control the younger generations like they have controlled the previous. I think this is an outdated idea that they're like, oh, well, if we just take away this source of information and we give them one that we control, then everything will go back to how it was, right?
Right.
And in addition to that, of it being right now during an election year, it's also because politicians don't actually care about the youth. Politicians want the older vote, which is like, again, I think a really, really foolish way to go about anything, but especially in an election year, we've got a supposed, a supposed liberal government, right? We have a supposed democratic government right now under the presidency that is absolutely a centrist. They are center right. So they are concerned about not alienating the right and being able to continue holding their centrist position.
Yeah.
They are hoping that Biden gets reelected by being the most neutral, appealing guy to old people. That's it. They just don't care about young people.
And unfortunately, mathematically, it still works in terms of polls, in terms of turnout for voters. And one of the reasons why trying to clamp down on this is so important is because, like, hey, we already know that the youth, we already know that people that sort of oppose our policies and what we're doing are already overall feeling incredibly disaffected and don't vote as much as they want to talk about voting. Right. So if we can just shut them up a little bit more, even fewer of them will vote.
Exactly.
But the thing is, like, yes, you can absolutely control people's opinions by controlling the media. That's like 100% true. That's all of history.
Right. That's all of history. That's all of America.
But
that's all of CIA propaganda. That's all of Radio Free Blank.
But like when you talk about pulling down TikTok in a country like America where there are so many other outlets, that's the other thing about like people moving to other platforms or using other platforms. It's not like clamping down on TikTok in another country where the media is already heavily clamped down on.
Well, but if you look at the big few, right? Like the big few, because there is power in numbers to such a great degree of being able to get information that cannot be diluted as easily with misinformation. And I mean misinformation from our government. We're setting aside right now all of the people just that spread misinformation. So having the most people is the best way. And then if you were to look at the big social media platforms that still exist should TikTok go away, there is Twitter X, there is Instagram, and there is Facebook. Okay? There's a million other communication sites, but these are the social media sites, right?
Hive.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, like Hive.
Yeah, like we're all on Hive.
So 2 of those are Meta.
Yeah.
And the other is Elon Musk.
Right. Right.
So it is like an extremely effective thing if you do take that away.
But
it's messed up.
But here's the other issue, though, is in order to do that,
Mhm.
here we are during an election year. They have 270 days remaining before they even start to draw this thing out.
Yeah.
It's not going to affect this election year. The only way it affects this election year is by activating people to be against it. So when people are saying, why would they do this during an election year? I 100% see it. They're looking at like the long term. They're like, if we lock this down now, in 2 years when we're doing midterms, then we're okay. In 4 years when we're doing the next election, then we're okay.
Even see too. So it's like, you're going to have a bunch of boomers that don't understand anything that are like, thank goodness Biden did something to protect white children. Specified. So you're going to get that. That's going to be positive press for Biden right now with the older generation. That's going to be all they need from this right this second for this year. They already knew they weren't going to get back the kids because none of us like Biden. None of us like Biden. Like, sure, I'll take him over any of the Republican options, but we don't like Biden. And you weren't going to make me like Biden. There was nothing you were going to do this year that was going to make me be like, yeah, I love Biden.
What if you found out that he was like good at unicycle?
Good at unicycle.
Yeah.
Actively supporting a genocide. Ooh, it's tough, but I'm still gonna say I don't think I'd like Biden.
Yeah, but how would that move the needle for you?
On the
likability
to
scale.
dislike.
Now remember, he also is a big
scale.
fan of ice cream.
He's a big fan of ice cream. Maybe if he could ride a unicycle, he's a war criminal. I'm gonna say it's not moving. I'm gonna say it's pretty steady, unfortunately, with the unicycle information.
He's got a sick pair of aviators he wears sometimes. How does that affect anything for you?
Steady as can be.
Really?
Steady as can be.
I mean, he's done everything he can.
I know. Well, except for the ceasefire.
No, he's done everything he can.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, he's done everything he can.
Yeah, so this is very interesting, and obviously it's something that we are going to all have to watch for a long time because it's going to affect things on so many levels. Like, I'm very interested in the legal precedents that are going to be set throughout this thing.
Yeah, good or bad.
Yeah, because what's going to happen in terms of governmental power to do this? What's going to happen in terms of people's response to it?
Yeah.
I think it's all going to be very interesting. Obviously, we're going to watch how much people are sort of activated to protest based on this. I do think it's going to be interesting to watch the number of people who backlash any protest against this, right? Like, why don't you backlash? Why don't you protest something that's really important? Why don't we ever hear you? And there is some of that going on too.
I think it is. That's why I say something every time people are like, oh no, the TikTok dances. Because A, that's clearly somebody who does not actively use TikTok in the way that most people use TikTok.
Frogs and hats.
B, I think that if we keep saying frogs and hats, we are genuinely discrediting the reason that people give a shit.
Sure.
And there's lots of other reasons, and there's lots of people who are like, I just want my entertainment app. But also, like, I do think it's unfair to discredit how important this is to like young millennials and Gen Z as an actual information tool. And I think it is genuinely harmful.
We've talked a lot about it, about how like people have found like everything from mental health to political stuff to people are finding out a lot of information. Somebody was in the live studio audience here saying, I found out about like basic legal rights and financial information from TikTok that I did not learn in the American school system, that I did not learn from any adult because the adults did not know how to tell me about this.
I've completely changed my financial situation since being on TikTok. I have completely like expanded my like political alignments in TikTok. Like I didn't change sides by any means, but in finding other people and like ideologies through TikTok that could expand on it and make reading recommendations and all of these things to like actually get sources of information that like you can Google the same question and come up with nothing on. I wouldn't have probably gotten my ADHD diagnosis that I got last year. So it's like, it's been incredibly helpful for a lot of people in a million different ways. And I don't think it's like, I don't even think it's fun and funny anymore right now to continue to like play around with it being unimportant. I don't think that it's like fun or funny anymore. I think we take a break from it being fun and funny because it's like, also we can't be the older generation that keeps shitting on things that are important to people. Like, it's not fucking fair. Like, I, as a millennial, I am the tail end of millennial. I am the last millennial. And like, I'm sick and fucking tired of Gen X being like, oh, the silly little thing you like, oh yeah, like fuck off, man, you know? And
Yeah.
it's like, if we keep doing that, where we're like, the kids are gonna lose their dance app. And I'm not saying this to anybody specifically in chat. I want to be clear, because like, this is something we've all been saying.
Right.
But I want to make sure that at this point right now, like, Gen Z knows that we stand with them on this and know that it's important and not their silly little app for fun, and like why they give a shit. So when we get to things where it's like, oh, if people are protesting against the ban of TikTok, people are going to be like, why aren't you protesting about something important? It's like, this is important.
Yeah.
It is important. Most of Gen Z in America would have had no idea about a literal genocide happening in the world. The mainstream news has been forced to cover it by the information being spread through apps like TikTok. Like, that changes things, and that really matters.
Yeah, it very much reminds me of like early internet, like pre-corporatized, like we go to 5 websites internet.
Yes.
Where it's like you could go and there was somebody who had done just a million hours of research into something, or there was like a message board or an IRC channel like way back in the day where it was just like, oh, I want to learn about this. Oh, it turns out that there's a lot more to learn about than was available to me. I also think it's okay to acknowledge, as long as we're not minimizing. I think it's okay to acknowledge that the app contains multitudes, and it does also have my silly little things that I enjoy. And silly little things that I enjoy are also part of the importance of it, though not, as high up on the ladder there.
Yes.
Because more and more, it's even harder to find the little moments of joy, because everything is being homogenized.
Yeah.
And so even the fact that my For You page looks the way it does, I think is important, because I literally can't find anything on the internet that I'm interested in anymore.
Yeah.
Except for on TikTok.
And like, while this has been happening, Google has fallen to absolute shit. You can't find anything on Google anymore. You get 3 pages of ads and then 150 pages of like scamming nonsense. And a lot of the time now, even the ads are scamming nonsense. You'll look up, hey, I'd like to call AT&T customer support, and you'll see a pinned sponsored advertisement with a phone number to a scam. This is a literal thing that happens on Google for some of the biggest companies in the world that is not being fixed. So the answers to anything is almost impossible to find on Google anymore, because there is no incentive for Google to feed you things that are not paying them to advertise. And there is no incentive for Google to look into the things that are being advertised on their platform.
Well, and then the things that aren't advertised, the part of Google that isn't monetized, that is supposed to still be working, if you manage to wade through all that stuff, is just full of articles written by AI now where people put a lot of money into their SEO. And all of a sudden you're reading an article, you're just like, I want to learn how to do this. And you look at the article and you go, oh no, this is just like an AI word salad of what I was trying to find out. So all of this stuff has been, it's the enshittification. We've talked about it a million times. And TikTok, I'm not going to say that TikTok is immune to it. Like, obviously there's a lot of garbage on TikTok as well, particularly TikTok ads and shops and all that stuff. But in between that stuff, there is still more useful information than there is on most other sites, particularly anything of a comparable size.
Because again, you've got Meta and you've got Elon Musk's Twitter. Like, and it's so wild because we think that like, oh, okay, well, we're talking to other people. Like, this is our community, right? So like, to some extent, whenever we talk about anything political or, very opinionated, a lot of the time we're preaching to the choir when we're speaking to our community. But even during this on Twitch, we had somebody come in that I just banned that came through saying weird xenophobic shit. So it's like, this is really effective. And this is a thing that they're making people believe. And something that people are literally evangelizing in a stranger's Twitch chat to come and say something that is like weird anti-China rhetoric that has nothing to do with it, saying TikTok's full of Nazis, as if they've never been on anywhere else on the internet.
Yeah. Everybody in the chat that's saying DuckDuckGo, I too have been a DuckDuckGo user for the last like 4 or 5 months. And it has really been a breath of fresh air for me in using the internet. I would say that the results that you get on DuckDuckGo are not as good as the Google results were back in the day when Google was still working.
Yeah.
But they are way better than anything you get anywhere else right now.
I wanted to read something from The Tension that says, and that's not to say that we Gen Z should only be communicating or making community on TikTok, but so often it feels like people think that is what we're saying.
Right.
Right? Like Gen Z isn't saying, hey, this is our only place for information and should be our only place for information.
Right. And I think that's an important thing. And that's an important thing, particularly right now, to be communicating specifically and be communicating specifically on TikTok, since that is the main platform. Too many times, one of the things that I see is when a platform goes to shit, people who are using that platform, like you think about peak Facebook. You think about like Facebook likes to point back at their Arab Spring days and say that they're the good guy because of the Arab Spring. You can point at those days before they locked everything down, changed the algorithm, and not enough people were saying things like, hey, we're talking about this here, but we should also be talking about it here.
Yeah. Where do you suggest?
Where do I suggest?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm old and bad.
Yeah. It's hard. I do think it is worth starting to build a like backup, you know?
I think it's, I
don't have the answer as to where that is.
I think a lot of it is on Discord servers.
Yeah.
It's on Telegram message groups.
But
and
all
that's
of
the thing
those
is-
feed the same thing. So it's like on Telegram groups, on WhatsApp groups, which again, WhatsApp is actually meta, so be careful. On Discord servers, on not Blue Sky, but Mastodon.
Hive.
Those kind of very small, Hive is not in this category, those very controlled communities don't function in the same way. So how do we find something that functions in that, like, I want something searchable. I want something that we can like get information to you that is useful to you without you having to seek it out.
Well, that's the thing is until there is a large replacement platform like that, it's important to be building the decentralized groups. Decentralized groups like this are incredibly important.
Yeah.
Because anything that becomes too large and centralized will become either a target of some kind. Whether it's a target of whether it's targeted by the government, whether it's targeted by advertisers, whether it's targeted by business business interests. Any large enough centralized platform will eventually become just as smoothed over and corporate as anything else.
But we will always need one. We always need
Well, that's
one.
what I'm saying. And they don't pop up as often as smaller, decentralized things because those are easier to start.
Yeah.
And that's why the internet in the beginning had such an air of like, oh, this is all useful information. These are like-minded people. It's because it's a bunch of little decentralized pods. And until there is like a big enough platform to move to or to go to, you do have to seek out the smaller communities. Before the internet, and even during the internet, if you wanted to find like-minded people, you had to search in your community. And that's something that has disappeared quite a bit because of the centralization of the internet. And that's a skill that we don't have as much anymore as a people, is to build these smaller communities and search out these smaller communities because we don't know how to do it. And I think that's why it's important, because these giant things will eventually topple.
Yes.
For good or for ill, they will topple. And so you have to have a backup while you are regrouping or finding what the next thing is.
Yeah, but what have we seen time and time again in smaller centralized communities when you have a lack of perspective? One of the great things about, the decentralized larger platforms that are like worldwide, as opposed to internal communities that are echo chambers of your own ideas, which a lot of anything with an algorithm to some extent will be.
Sure.
But you end up in communities that form new versions of segregation within it and don't have outside perspective. So yeah, you can search within your community, but one of the whole benefits of the way that information is spread like this is to be able to find information outside of your community so that we actually learn beyond, okay, well, we all had the same news source and now we've all learned the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's something that we've been trying to balance forever since the beginning of globalized media, since the beginning of even nationalized media, right?
Yeah.
Like you think about Marshall McLuhan books that were written in like the 60s and 70s that are just like the media is the message. Things that are just as valuable today as they were back then, because all of these things happen in cycles. The internet is just a new version of public access television, which was a new version of radio, which was a new version of the printing press.
Mhm.
And in all of these things, you always have the same problems. Large things become owned by the people who can own large things.
Mhm.
Small things are not as useful as large things.
Yeah.
And we're always going to be bouncing back and forth between those.
I think it's very interesting. I'm curious to see what happens next. I'm curious to see if it continues to be TikTok, what the kind of like backup is. A lot of people were saying Tumblr. I don't think that that's a bad suggestion. Somebody asked, what about Blue Sky? Is there something wrong with Blue Sky? Blue Sky, there isn't that there's something particularly wrong with it. I mean, Jack Dorsey is its own thing of it.
Yeah.
Blue Sky was created by the person who created Twitter and then sold Twitter to Elon Musk and in fact insisted that Elon Musk buy Twitter. So something worth factoring in that I wouldn't be like, oh, our hero, our savior, no, they'll always look out for our best interest. That's not going to happen. But it isn't like the worst thing of the, popping up social media channels. The problem is we don't have a high enough adoption rate for that to be the effective landing place. It could become one should people move over there. I mean, that's the same thing with Hive. You're welcome. I've finally brought it back to Hive.
Thank you.
Adoption.
Does Hive still exist?
It does.
Okay.
Adoption is kind of the problem. It was the same thing with like, any of these that tried to pop up.
Yeah.
So like to that?
There has to be like a tipping point of the number of people that are there in order for everybody to be around, to be found, and to be listened to.
Yeah.
And right now, everything is smaller than Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yep.
By factors, by huge numbers.
Jelly PB said Blue Sky only just recently opened without invites. I'm hoping it gets bigger. That's true.
Yeah.
It could happen. I haven't seen like a massive adoption since it opened up, but
yeah, it was one of those things where people wanted the invite when the invites were there.
I know,
because it felt like, oh, this is a walled garden of safety. Yeah.
Clubhouse?
Yeah, I do remember Clubhouse.
God, what a bad time Clubhouse was.
Yeah, I can't imagine why. Well, I can't imagine. It was because we were all trapped in our own private little vaults.
And it was nice to hear people's voices,
Exactly.
I guess. And then all of the tech bros got it and it became just an absolute cesspool. Like it was like, hey, do you miss the feeling of like uncertainty and unsafety that you feel in a nightclub full of tech bros? Because that's Clubhouse. Like if you feel like you were missing places that made you feel the need to cover your drink and pull your skirt down a little bit, then look what I've got for you. It's Clubhouse.
Do you remember when, I forget who it was, some like huge tech guy who was like, what if we did something like podcasts, but like instead of putting them out on the internet, it was just like we got a group of people together and like a couple people had a conversation with this group of people. And it's like, are you talking about hanging out, dog?
Yeah.
Are you talking about hanging out with?
Hanging out.
Are you talking about having friends, dude?
Are you talking about a discussion?
Are you talking about hanging out with friends and talking about stuff? My dude, are you?
Yeah.
Did you just try to invent having a discussion?
Yeah.
All right, man.
Let's continue into the next part of this.
Sure.
We have good news.
Hive is still around.
That's not the good news.
Oh. I'm sure it is for Hive.
Sure. The FCC has just voted to restore net neutrality. After 6 long years, net neutrality, of course, was shot down by the Trump administration in 2018. And since then has been an ongoing battle of failure after failure. And finally,
the amount of damage one Agit pie can do.
Yep.
Within like 5 years.
Yeah.
To an entire infrastructure has been wild to watch.
Yeah. So this was something Biden had promised a while back. In 2021, he signed an executive order directing the FCC to start the process of restoring net neutrality. And finally, it has happened. So that is a little bit of good news for the internet. I think net neutrality affects a lot of things. It's one of those things that has like little hands in every pot, that it's like, why are things bad? Why is this happening? Why is that happening? And a lot of that is because of the shoot down of net neutrality at the time. But it's not things that you identify at the time when they're happening.
No, it was a bunch of little things that the FCC under Agit Pie did that just really ruined quality of life. Like the idea that like that net neutrality got rolled back. The idea that the robocalls.
Yes.
Do you know there was like 4 years, 4 or 5 years where robocalls were just fully illegal?
Yeah.
And then they just came back.
Now, this is something that could also improve the Google problem that we're just discussing.
Yes.
Like net neutrality being overturned was honestly, I think, one of the major factors that led to the cesspool that Google search has become. So net neutrality in principle is described as the principle that all internet traffic should be treated equally. Internet traffic includes the different messages, files, and data sent over the internet, including emails, digital audio files, digital video files, and torrents.
Essentially, the case that's usually given for net neutrality is somebody could pay your ISP to get preferential treatment in different ways, which like if you are, for instance, Facebook, and you wanted everybody to have super fast access to Facebook. Well, under capitalism, you could say, oh, well, could I pay you to set aside more of your bandwidth and speed for Facebook?
Right.
Which, when you put it that way, sounds bad but not awful. But what the awful thing about it is all of a sudden the rest of the internet becomes slower to you.
Exactly.
And so the rest of the internet feels worse to use.
They could say, hey, well, if your ISP partners with Netflix, maybe Hulu don't load so fast. Maybe Hulu's a little slow for us.
Yeah.
Maybe you give Netflix a little speedy bump.
Yeah. And then depending on who your internet service provider is, you've got to look at what your favorite sites are. And not just like sites, like you're saying, it's not just sites that you're thinking of as websites or as mobile apps. It's everything. It's everything connected to the internet.
Right.
It's TV, it's video chats. Like all of a sudden, oh, well, the company used to use Zoom, but for some reason, Zoom's been bad recently.
Exactly.
So we're swapping over to, I don't know, Microsoft Teams. And it turns out the reason Zoom's been bad is because your boss is on, or your corporate internet is on an ISP that gives more bandwidth and speed to Microsoft Teams.
Yep.
And all of this stuff also sort of rolled back the idea of the amount of advertising on the internet, the amount of data collection on the internet. That's a big one.
Yeah.
And all of this stuff comes together to make an incredibly insecure, unsafe, and not very private version of the internet at all.
On Weavy Dread said, and then, oops, you only have one ISP in your area. Sorry.
That's right. Depending on what building you live in.
Probably only get one.
Yeah. The people I have, my building has fiber internet, but the building next door doesn't and won't. And
because they have a deal with that fiber company.
They have a deal with the fiber company, but not just that. They have getting your ISP to be available in different parts of a city requires like dealing with a bunch of city infrastructure and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And dealing with like a bunch of, honestly, kind of not on the up and up sort of shady governmental stuff about the installation of things that aren't considered utilities.
Yeah.
So you could be living next door to somebody who has fiber for 15 years before you can get fiber.
Yep. Yeah, I could be. I am. I moved 3 blocks and lost my fiber internet. Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Isn't that ridiculous?
And so when you move, like, because of how internet providers can change from building to building, all of a sudden, quality of internet, not just because one provider is better than the other, but because one provider gives preferential treatment to other services. And this includes their own services. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about something like a Time Warner.
Yeah.
Who owns multiple technology and media corporations, and how they can just go in if there isn't net neutrality and be like, well, it's easiest for us to build our infrastructure around our own stuff.
Yeah.
So our thing would be, why don't you visit sites that are run by Time Warner?
Yeah.
Because the days of like mom and pop internet providers are basically gone. There are very, very few local independently run internet service providers.
Yeah.
And there were proliferation of them during like the beginning rollout of broadband, and they've all disappeared.
Yeah.
So whichever one, if you have Verizon Fios, man, we know how many media companies Verizon owns.
Yeah.
We know that.
Now, the return of net neutrality will unfortunately not fix the issue that there is probably only one internet service provider in your city.
No.
Unfortunately, this does not affect that issue particularly. In some ways, does it lightly de-incentivize that sort of monopoly? Only a little bit, not enough to probably make a difference in that. What we do need is more FCC regulation on tech companies monopolizing markets.
Yeah.
Realistically, even under the existing laws, this should be illegal, but US says, it's okay, we won't look.
Mm-hmm.
You could, I didn't see it.
Look, they are going out of their way to ignore the fact that internet is the telephone of the 21st century.
Yes.
Because they don't want to go through another thing where they had to break up the Bell system. The government just doesn't want to do that. That's not who the government is anymore.
Nope.
But honestly, the internet should be a utility now.
Absolutely.
It should be unfortunately, like, I know people get scared of like heavy government regulation, and in a lot of ways, yes, you should be. But there should be regulation of certain things. That's why we have a government to begin with.
Socialize everything.
And the idea that water doesn't come out of the faucet for free still. The idea that electricity is a bill still. These utilities, they're things that we need for quality of life that should be provided. The internet
that by our government
now,
has been defined by as a human right.
The internet needs to be a utility. There is no functioning in the modern world on a level where you can be successful in the United States without the internet.
And I think when you say like people get afraid of things becoming more centralized like that, it's interesting that people are more afraid of socializing and centralizing a utility than private ownership in them. That's unbelievable to me. I am so much more afraid of private ownership of basic human necessities than I am of them being centralized.
Well, it's decades and decades and decades of misinformation and basically advertising and marketing by these large companies, whether it's a phone company or private health insurance or whoever. There's this idea of, well, if somebody needs to make their living by giving you the best insurance or the best internet, they'll work harder to make it happen than the government, where if they just give it to everybody, they'll be lazier about it. And like,
which is so
really
clearly
weird,
disprovable, which is so time and time again disproved.
It's fucking wild. The idea that when I was a kid, my father, not my mother, but my father very much was open to the idea that in socialized medicine, you will die waiting for an organ if you need one, when like that literally happens in the United States more often than any other developed
nation
in the world.
We have the most expensive healthcare system, both for our government and for our citizens, of the entire developed world. Now, obviously, developed is a little bit of a complicated term.
Sure.
But
hey, Devin Danger's got a great point in the live studio audience. Would you say that this is Ronald Reagan's fault?
I would say it's Ronald Reagan's fault. I would say it certainly is Ronald Reagan's fault for being a little puppety hand of the anti-communist movement.
So one thing that is, for everybody that's saying this should be a utility, one thing you should know is that through net neutrality, the ISPs are considered common carriers. Common carriers are the names that were given to the phone companies when they were doing this breaking up of the Bell monopoly. And so they are being treated legally by the FCC as utilities to a certain extent. Now, the problem is the FCC does not work alone in deciding that something is a utility that should be regulated and given to you as a right and all that stuff. There are multiple departments of the government that have to decide that.
Yes.
But as far as the FCC is concerned, they can treat your ISP the same way they treat a phone company, which gives you the reasonable expectation that you will have the same level of service as anybody else for the same price as anybody else.
Yeah.
And you will be protected from certain things happening. You will be protected from misuse by
Right.
that company. Does that mean robocalls are going away anytime soon? That's a different rule.
Yes, exactly.
But-
it's a different rule, but this is a rule in the direction of more rules.
Yeah.
Here's hoping.
So there you go. There's all your serious internet that we had to talk about today. I got something that straddles the serious internet, if you don't mind.
I don't mind you straddling the serious internet. Go on.
I'll straddle the serious internet. I got one foot in the silly and one foot in the serious.
Okay.
And I'd like to tell you about the itch.io Palestine Relief Bundle.
Let's talk about it.
We talk about these itch bundles. They come out for a lot of great causes.
If you are by any chance not familiar with itch.io at this existing point, you might be new here because we talk about it a lot, but it is a wonderful site where you can pick up all kinds of media for yourself. Primarily, it is known for video games, indie developers posting their own video games, marketplace kind of like Steam, but you can get things like PDFs of tabletop games. You can get music. You can get like animated, like shorts, animated shorts.
You can get zines. You can get like assets and clip art and all kinds of wonderful
Everything.
things. It was initially started as an alternative to Steam for people who just wanted to sell their game and not have that hassle. But they do a lot of charity game bundles. We've previously talked about the amazing bundle that they did for trans rights, the one that they did for Russian aid, the ones that they've done them for a lot of different things. They did one for the or not Russian aid, sorry, Ukrainian aid, sorry. No, it was Russian aid. I gave them like a lot of money.
Oh no.
I know, I gave them so much money.
That was a Ukraine support.
No, I just checked.
No,
I bought the wrong bundle. Oh no.
So the Palestinian Relief Bundle.
I gave them $13,000.
Has 373 items in it, a $1,672 value for $8. This means that all of these developers volunteered to put their assets, their games, their whatever that they contributed to it in this bundle, and you get all of those things when you buy this bundle. They live in your library forever. It's wonderful. You don't have to download them all at once. You're not like, what am I going to do with 1,600 things? When you finish a game, you go, damn, I kind of want something new. Before you go buy something on Steam, check your itch account.
Yeah, because
check what you've got, because I bet you have a bunch of things sitting in there that are so fun.
If you bought like one or two of these bundles, like some of them wind up with like 1,500 games by the end. That's the other thing is right now, when I checked this morning, there were like under 400 games.
Yeah.
But for as long as the bundle
373.
for as long as the bundle runs, people will add their games to the bundle. And you can wind up with, like I said, one of them I wound up with like 1,500 games.
Yeah.
So keep checking. I mean, and a lot of them are duplicates if you bought the bundle before, but that's not what it's about.
No,
baby.
but also it's got a bunch of really wonderful things on it. First thing I see on here, a short hike. Everybody loves a short hike.
It's one of my faves.
It's a great game. And that is included in this. And that game is worth $8 alone. So currently they have raised $376,000 out of a $500,000 goal. They are 75% of the way there from 34,000 contributors. You can buy for $8 or you can choose to contribute over and above that amount with any of these. And I highly recommend any one of these. They're always a great value and they do a little bit of good. It's an easy way to do a little good.
I agree, Mr. Duck Sauce. It's weird that they made that Soviet bundle an option. It's weird they called it the Soviet bundle too.
Yeah.
Because that's
considering it's not.
Yeah,
they're not Soviet.
They haven't been the Soviet. Like there were so many. Honestly, and I don't mean this as a pun, but there were a lot of red flags that I should have noticed.
I mean, if there is like an actual Soviet one, with red flags, got me a link. You know what I mean? I think that's really cool, and I think that you all should check that out. Should we talk about a little more video game news?
Let's talk about some video game news.
A very interesting statement that's been going around. Everybody is just eating up everything that the developers behind, of course, Baldur's Gate 3 have been saying.
I've heard of it.
Mostly because they've been showing up at award shows and dropping great facts.
Yeah.
They've been like, hey, your games don't have to be so expensive. They've been like, hey, you don't have to lay people off like that. Stop doing it.
Yeah.
And we, Love it.
We love it.
It's great.
We love when a privately owned company shows up
Yes.
to a corporate event and goes, "You screwed up."
Yeah. Now, here's one that made me give me a little question mark. Okay.
Okay.
Larian's publishing director said, "Marketing is dead, and I can back this shit up."
Whoa.
Saying people do not want to be, players just want to be spoken to. They do not want to be bamboozled. They don't want to be marketed to
What about
anymore. Marketing
hornswoggled?
is dead. I don't think they do either.
If they don't want to be bamboozled and they don't want to be hornswoggled, do they want to be
Hoodwinked?
Yeah.
Nope.
Do they want to be given the old runaround?
They sure don't.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh. What is he basing that on?
He's basing it on Baldur's Gate 3. He's basing it on Larian. He's essentially like, people are tired of you trying to sell things to them, and they just want you to actually talk to them. And that is what they attribute their success to. Which is very interesting.
Well,
correct. And they didn't say those exact words, but they're basing it off of that information. So it would be very strange because Baldur's Gate 3 wasn't not marketed.
No, and it certainly wasn't given a little bit of a jump start because of branding of any kind. There certainly wasn't any kind of like tie-in or brand recognition or anything like that.
So he said, marketing is dead. Truly, it is. I can back this shit up, man. There's no channels anymore. It doesn't work. You used to have marketing, communication, and PR. Marketing was essentially a retail theory. You were trying to get your box in the right point of the store shelves, and you have partnerships with retail stores. Those pipelines are gone now. Now you've got the internet. Nobody's looking at ads anymore. All of the channels that we would usually market through are no longer really viable. So their function is also reduced by the fact that players just want to be spoken to. They don't want to be bamboozled. They just want to know what you're making, why you're making it, and who it's for.
Listen, on a top line level, I can 100% get behind that. I understand.
Yes.
I understand where this statement comes from because it's true. Like, we're talking about how we just had a whole discussion about how we don't even look at the stuff that Google puts in front of us anymore.
Yeah.
I have an ad blocker turned on for everything.
Yeah.
When you're talking about traditional marketing channels, PR emails, things like that.
Sure, marketing has changed.
But war never changes.
See you tonight.
Think about that.
I think it's just very weird because all of this, like they're going on all these podcasts and talking about all of this is marketing. And this gave me the ick a little bit. And I hate that it did because I love Larian and I love this game. It's one of my favorite games of all time. But this gave me the ick a little bit because it's like, well, don't try to bamboozle me when you're telling me I don't want to be bamboozled.
Yeah.
Because it feels a little like you're trying to bamboozle me with that. Because like you going on this podcast is marketing. This was on PC Gamer. This was on their like the future of whatever for PC Gamer. And I'm like, this is marketing. When you say, no, now there's social media and people are looking at ads, sure, they're not looking at the literal margins where they place physical ads, but all of these things that you did on social media about Baldur's Gate, all of these extra clips that you released of your actors messing up their voice lines and laughing. Yeah. All of that was marketing.
All the goofy little fake screenshots and like fun little things that you do, or like
all of it's marketing.
Characters that you rolled or whatever.
Yeah. All your cute little Valentines from all of your Baldur's Gate characters. All of that was marketing that you did do, and everything you're referring to, if they just want to be spoken to, like, no, you were marketing.
Now,
and you can say it's different. You can say the old way of marketing is dead, but don't act like you're like such a good guy that you're like, we're not even marketing. We're just talking to people. You know what I mean? Like, we're just telling them what we're making.
There's a bit of
all we did was say what we're making and who for.
Yeah, there's a bit of a like a Wendy's account thing to all this, right? We're living in a post Wendy's universe where it's just like, we're just goofing around. I'm just goofing around on the internet with my favorite brands.
The Duolingo bird is marketing to you, even if you really enjoy the videos, and that's okay.
Yeah. What you're really saying is traditional marketing, old school marketing doesn't work.
Yeah.
Which is not as cool a thing to say.
Right.
But yeah, the whole idea of, like you're saying, the fake Valentines and stuff like that, that's pretty standard marketing at this point.
Yeah. And when he says specifically, like, we have social media now, I'm like, most marketing departments are almost entirely based around social media and online marketing.
When you say we have social media now, you mean marketing departments.
Yeah.
Individuals have not had social media for a long time.
Oh.
We gave it up to the bots in the marketing departments a long time ago.
I mean, I think in summary, what they actually mean by it is that, like, running ads doesn't do anything anymore, but consumers don't care about that. So it sounds like he really knows how to phrase this in a way that will make headlines.
Yeah, sounds like he's good marketing.
Which is marketing.
He's good at marketing, this guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's very interesting.
It was just a strange statement to say on a thing that you're going on to promote and market, you know?
Sure.
You're going on the state of PC gaming and talking at this round table. That's all marketing, baby. Everything you're doing.
I want to talk a little bit more about while we're talking about things that are D&D adjacent.
Ooh.
And we're talking about social medias.
Ooh.
I want to talk about this kind of interesting announcement. Roll20 is integrating directly into Discord servers soon. Roll20, if you're unfamiliar, is a virtual tabletop for playing D&D. It's a collection of tools for people who want to play their games online.
Yeah, they have a big marketplace to build out your own maps. They have existing maps. It is very, very common for remote games in particular. Blew up in 2020 for people who wanted to still be able to play their D&D games without the hex tiles in front of them. It's a great digital way to do so. And a lot of people don't enjoy using the audio and video tools that are built into Roll20 during their game. No, they do exist.
Sure.
But I would say most people probably who are using Roll20 for their maps for their remote D&D games are using Discord already as their audio and video so that they can see their friends. I know in my pandemic home game, that's what we were doing.
Yeah, technically you can make video calls through Gmail if you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't mean we're doing it.
Yeah.
So this is cool. Instead of opening up a separate browser, some other voice client, you're going to just open things up right inside Discord. If you're familiar with Discord activities, which is something that were launched last year in a big way, Discord activities include a lot of things like interactive games and things that you can play.
Yeah.
Watching movies together, all that stuff. Those are all Discord activities. And this is going to be just another Discord activity that you can open up.
They say if your Roll20 account and your Discord are under the same email, you just log in. That's it. You don't even have to go through. There's a lot of things that you have to activate connections for on Discord. That's really exciting. And they say every member of your party will need to make a Roll20 account to be on the same voice call. So
yeah, if your Roll20 account and your Discord are under the same email, they will automatically merge when you first log in. But if you what?
That's what I just said.
Oh,
we're on the same part now. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Yeah. So basically, if you have, even if it's two different accounts under the same email, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
But the other way it's going to work is like the first person who launches it is the person who's going to pick the campaign. So you'd probably want to have like your DM launch it.
Yeah.
And then have the other players join. Everybody else goes into a waiting room. And then when you leave, you can jump back in right where you like left.
So cool.
It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Now, it's not going to have everything on the DM side that the full Roll20 site has.
Yes.
There are certain tools and things for the things to build your maps and your campaigns and things like that that are not going to be part of the Discord activity. This is going to be sort of like DM goes in, builds your encounters and things for the night, and then you all log on to Discord and it's all kind of available in like a stripped down version, which I also like.
Yes.
Because when everybody goes on to Roll20, basically like all the tools are available to everyone at all times.
Yeah.
And not everybody needs all the tools at all times.
Which is entirely dependent on your settings.
Yeah.
But a lot of GMs don't know how to turn all of that off because it's a little bit complicated.
Well, because once again, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
All of it's available.
Yeah.
So this kind of like pared down version of the service is a pretty good idea. I like this. I like the idea of more of this stuff getting integrated into the platforms that we already use.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, you have like another 15 days to send that email to Discord that tells them that you don't want to opt out of suing them in case anything goes wrong.
Yeah.
So I'd go ahead and send that.
Yeah.
But also be excited about playing D&D on Discord.
I love a Discord integration. I think Discord integrations tend to work really well. Of all of the sites that I have that integrate with each other, usually when Discord launches one, I have really good luck with it. I love the way that Patreon links to Discord.
Yes.
I love the way that I remember when we launched our Patreon being like, there's no way this is going to work. You know what I mean? With all of the Discord things that it interacts with and how effective and wonderful that is, it makes my life so much easier. So I think that Discord integrations so far are really great. I like the way that it interacts with Twitch. I like the way that it activates my streamer mode when I'm streaming. I like the way that it changes my status. Like, I love a Discord integration. I think they do a good job.
Yeah, they absolutely do. This will not, just so you know, be available on mobile, but it's just going to be on
That
the...
makes sense
Yeah.
for now. I hope it is someday. I think that would be cool. I don't think that's the way most people would be using their
No.
Roll20 anyways.
No, I think if you're sitting down at your phone to play 4 hours of D&D with your friends,
Yeah.
it's like, hey, get yourself a little more comfy.
Yeah.
Do yourself a favor. Get a little more comfy for 4 hours of D&D with
Get
your
it to the
friends.
computer.
So there
Very
you
cool.
go.
Let's talk about Fallout.
You want to talk about Fallout?
All I want this week is to talk about Fallout. Genuinely, of anybody that will listen. I've been just like special interest info sharing on all of the deep Fallout lore, but that's not what this is right
No.
now. But it's all I want to talk about.
Check us out next week when we do a tier list of every single vault. All the way up to 111, baby. Let's go.
There's so many gaps in the middle, but I'm willing to take guesses. Fallout 4 was supposed to be receiving a shiny new next-gen update.
Yes.
It makes sense for the timing. There are a lot of people that have just finished the series and are like, damn, I got to either go back and play Fallout again or play in Fallout for the first time. And 4 is where a lot of people start if they're just getting into Fallout.
That's right. The Fallout games have had daily players upwards of 5 million for the first time in maybe ever.
That's how you know the show worked.
Yeah. Nexus Mods also has had to work around the clock because they are getting hit with so much traffic for Fallout mods.
Yeah.
More than they've gotten in years. Particularly mods that put game characters or put show characters and objects into the games.
Yeah.
Those are getting crazy numbers of downloads. Like people who want to play as Lucy and things like that are getting like crazy numbers of downloads.
So just yesterday, the next gen update was released around 18 months after it was announced. It was a pretty big update, but people have not been having a great time with it. The Steam version appears to be just absolutely riddled with problems. It has tons of technical issues.
No, a Bethesda game came out with tons of tech. A Fallout game?
On PC?
A PC version of a Bethesda? You're trying to tell me.
Hard to believe. Spiders are PS5 players, on the other hand, have been struggling to get the update at all. There was an availability error and a confusing message from Bethesda that would pop up when they would try and download it.
So, yeah, and above and beyond that confusing error, there's also limited availability of it. So if you're on the PS5 and you received Fallout 4 as part of your PlayStation Plus account or as part of the PlayStation Collection, which is that collection of games that they give you when you buy a PS5.
Yeah.
They don't really do that as much anymore, but they used to. Those people are apparently not eligible for the next gen update.
Yes.
That's something where they have to pay, I think it's something like $20. Which is kind of a bummer because PlayStation had a big Fallout sale that just ended.
Yeah.
And people were like, if I knew that I needed to buy Fallout 4 for $5 last week, I would have bought it.
Yeah.
Instead of counting on this version of Fallout 4 that you gave me to get updated. Now I have to pay $20 instead of the $5 last week. That's a little shady.
That's a little shady,
That's just a little shady, Sony.
And we'll see. Things are going to continue to be updated. I'm sure that they're about to start patching and working as hard as they can on this. Obviously, for the people who, like you said, received the game for free and are not getting that upgrade, that's a bummer. The game is still very much playable without the upgrade. I saw somebody in chat be like, I'm so glad I set mine not to update so it didn't mess with my mods. I think that was very, very smart. We've mentioned PlayStation, we've mentioned PC. If you're on Xbox, you got the update. You got the update.
Congratulations.
No problem getting the update. Well, except if you wanted the update to do something.
Well,
did you want the update to have like an effect on your game in some way?
Well, yeah. When I heard it was a next gen update, I thought I would open up Fallout and it would look different or play different.
So if you wanted that the 4K, or if you wanted like the ultra mode graphics, so you don't actually have access to those currently on Xbox. So
what do I have?
No, the game, same game, same. Did an update, got nothing.
How big was the update of nothing?
So many gigs.
Was I downloading like 20 gigs of nothing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn.
You just don't have access to like it isn't showing up in the settings
That's
for
like-
Xbox users.
That's like when they used to make games on disc
Yeah.
and they'd make a 700 meg dummy file.
Yeah.
So like the 50 meg game would be on the outside where the disc spins faster.
right.
Because it would make the gameplay better for you.
Or like when you buy a physical copy so you can get all of the cool like little extra goodies with the game now and there's
Yeah.
actually no disc in the case. That's fun. So that's kind of what you got with the Xbox version right now. So
I
kind
love
of
it.
hitting it on all bases.
So if
you know
I
what
was
mean?
going to play the next gen update right now, what would the preferred platform be? I would imagine if
Mhm.
you were able to jump through the hoops
Yeah.
and get through all the gates that
Uh-huh.
PlayStation put up,
Yeah.
probably PlayStation 5 would be where to play.
Let's take a look at it on PS5. Would you show my screen, Alex? Also, good morning, Ruel. Hi, it's good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. We've got a friend in the chat. So here it is on PS5. Says the PS5 upgrade looks amazing. So there's dog meat just
Yeah.
clipping right into the ceiling of that building.
But that's a higher
Has no
resolution.
texture.
That's a higher resolution dog meat clipping through a higher resolution building than it
I don't
used
know
to
about
be.
a higher resolution building.
Well, I'm talking in terms of geometry. You gotta wait. Sometimes you gotta wait for textures.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Listen,
Yeah.
here's something that you learn when you play Bethesda games.
Uh-huh.
It's that textures are a little treat you can have sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Textures and physics
Yeah.
are little treats that you can have for being good and patient.
Okay.
Okay? And so when you want
Mhm.
the textures to load,
Yeah.
you sit patiently.
Mhm.
Sometimes you walk back and forth
Yeah.
because sometimes that helps.
Right. Okay.
Sometimes
You
if you
pace a
spin
little bit.
around,
Mhm.
that helps. And when those textures finally do load,
Yeah.
it's going to be very good new textures.
Okay.
Whereas before, after you did all that,
Mhm.
bad textures. Do you see what I mean?
Okay.
Do you see what I mean? So it
So-
is an improvement to Fallout.
Okay, so well, then let's take a look at this one. This is somebody who is playing the upgraded version. This is what their makeshift weapon looks like.
Now, once again, that looks like a texture issue, and textures are something you can have when you wait. That looks like this texture couldn't load issue. And to that, I say, did you try walking back and forth? Did you try spinning around?
Ye-
Did you try reloading your save?
Yeah.
Did you try erasing your save and
Uh-huh.
starting the game over?
Yeah. Yeah.
These are just things that Bethesda, when you play a Bethesda game, you know to do it.
Right.
And here's the thing.
Of course.
If your weapon texture comes back,
Mhm.
the people swimming in the air might go away.
Maybe.
And here's the thing. I want to keep those people swimming in the air because that's
You
my
don't wanna
favorite
risk that,
No,
yeah.
that's my favorite part of a Bethesda game. I want the dog to
Mhm.
swim in the ground
Yeah.
and I want the people to swim in the air.
Yeah.
And if that costs me an extra $20 to get it in 4K,
I'd like to see those people swim in the air in 4K.
yeah,
I'd pay
like
$20 for that.
listen, I have paid for Skyrim 10 times
Yeah.
to watch those people swim through the air in varying resolutions and degrees of polish.
Yeah.
Does it ever fix them swimming through the air?
Oh.
But I will say
Mhm.
that perfect, like that ultimate Skyrim,
Yeah.
when they swim through the air, looks way better than the original Skyrim.
Yeah. A
So-
little more detail on
Yeah.
those faces up in the air.
So when Bethesda makes an update like this,
Yeah.
it's very important.
Yeah.
Specificity is the heart of language,
Yeah.
Sage, and we know this. It's very important to ask them, what does a next gen upgrade mean
What does a next gen upgrade mean to you?
to you? What do I get with this upgrade?
You know what I want?
Because they didn't say they fixed the engine
No.
or the gameplay,
No,
did
they
they?
said a next gen upgrade.
Yeah.
That could mean anything. I want to be able to walk into an NPC and see the inside of their teeth. I don't care if a gun texture doesn't load.
Yeah. I like that. I like when you walk into the NPC and you get that thing where it's like, I'm wearing a human as a suit.
Yeah. And,
it's
you can see
like-
like the back of their eye sockets.
Yeah, like my eyes are right behind your eyes. And like your tongue is like, our tongues are touching, but not in the cool, sexy way that they normally would, in a weird way where it's
Yeah.
back to front.
Yeah.
That's new.
Yeah.
That's new.
They're facing the same direction.
Yeah.
Layered.
That's right.
Isn't that
You
fun?
ever done that?
Yeah.
That's hot love right there.
And I think that's also all of the news we have time for.
Okay.
That is both hot news and hot love and all the news we have time for. Because it's already 10:30, Anthony.
Can you believe it?
I couldn't believe it.
Well-
But
But
we have a little bit more for those of you who are subscribed to our Patreon, patreon.com/Pixel Circus. You get a
Ooh.
bonus clip from It's Too Early every single week. You got the Pixel Pod this week. You get a lot of early and wonderful and very cool things over there starting at just $5 a month. And we hope you will check it out.
That's
if
right.
you don't have $5 a month, you can become a free member or start that 7-day free trial.
If you become a member at $5 a month right now, all of the textures on the Patreon are 4K. We've updated all of the textures.
Yeah.
And they show up when they show up.
We're doing a next gen upgrade to
That's
the
right.
Patreon.
That's
what
right.
we're calling it. And hey, thank you so much for watching. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to like the video, subscribe. Let us know what your favorite video game glitch is. Do you like to see the back of somebody's tongue?
Mhm.
Do you like when your feet are just in the ground? Do you
Yeah.
like the people swimming in the sky? I'd love to know.
I do enjoy when you're talking to somebody very seriously and they just T-pose and fly away.
I like in GTA when Dr. Dre and like when Dr. Dre is there and gets hit by a car and then tornado spins into the sky.
Yeah, that's right.
Like those fairy dancers.
Now, that's not a glitch. That's actually a power he has in real life.
Yeah. Please don't hit Dr. Dre with your car to test. You just have to believe
You just
us.
have to believe us.
What else? You can join the Discord. It's totally free to do so, which is pretty cool. You know what else is free? Telling a friend about the show. If you enjoyed it, you can always let people know on a social media, whatever ones are left at this point.
That's
you can
right.
let people know that you enjoyed it. And you can also suggest stories in the Discord if you want to tell us what to talk about.
Yeah. We are going to go through and thank everybody who supported us here today. But first of all, Saige, where can people find you?
You can find me everywhere on the internet at Not Sage. I stream on my channel Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. And tonight, Friday, you can find me GMing our Fallout D&D game. It'll be live at 6 p.m. Pacific and up on YouTube after that. How about you, Anthony?
Oh, I'll also be part of that Fallout game
Oh, wow.
right here. So be sure that you're on this very channel at 6 p.m., like Saige said. And for everything else, you can find me on the internet at a Carboni, except for Twitch, where I am at Anthony Carboni because of reasons.
Yep.
Alex, where are you?
Howdy. You can find me on Twitter at Alder_Mancy. And I'm also going to be here tech directing the Fallout show tonight. So like Saige and Anthony said, please come and tune in.
Thank you for supporting our channel and making this show possible. We appreciate you. Thank
That's
you for
right.
spending your morning with us.
If you're a patron, we will see you in just a few minutes. And if
Mhm.
you're not, we'll see you tonight at 6 p.m.
Bye.
Bye.